Hello everybody, this is Miranda Glavin speaking. I'm a careers advisor and hopefully you've already watched my tutorial on registering for UCAS. This is now going to talk you through the actual application process. If you haven't yet watched the registration one and you've not registered, I would advise doing that first, otherwise you're going to be getting ahead of yourselves. As with registering, you need to go to UCAS.com and then you're going to go to the top right hand corner where it says sign in and click on that, and you're signing in as a student. You're going to be so this is for an application as an undergraduate, so for those of you who are doing a first degree. And we're clicking on 2019, apply. And here you now have the option of logging in. So if you haven't yet registered, you'll be clicking on the register, but as we are now, we've already done that process, you're now going to log in. So remember how you kept your username and your password, fingers crossed. This is now where you enter them. And I'm just going to do that so we can log in and we can go through the process. Okay, so this is what it looks like. We are now inside the UCAS system. This is the welcome page. On that page, behind this little snipping toolbox is my personal ID. And as will yours be. You will need that if you want to call up UCAS to discuss your application. So it's always on that first welcome page, but you can also make a note of it along with your password and username if you would like to. And there's a little video there that's worth watching, and also some further information about completing the application that I would recommend that you read through, but we're not going to do that now. One other thing to note on this page is this section about verifying your email address. Basically they need to know that you're going to respond to the email, so what you need to do is just click on that link there. I'm not going to do it now because it will open a new window, but once you do that, you'll then go, you'll get an email to your email address. You need to open that and it'll link you back here, and then you'll be able to send in your application. So I'd recommend doing that in the first instance, and then you can get on with the application. As you can see on this left hand side here, we have all the different sections. Some of them are very quick to complete, others take a little bit longer. So you know, this does take a fair amount of time. Obviously you can log in and log out, you don't have to do it in one go, but you need to set aside a good period of time, and also there's some information which you might not have immediately to hand. Yeah, it's a little bit of a process that takes some time, but hopefully this is going to help you be as efficient as possible with it. I've now clicked on the first of the sections, which is personal details. What's going to be quite handy is through the registration, it's already pre-filled in some of this information. So I'm not going to scroll down the page quite yet because a bit of my information is on there, but just you can see the beginning bit. It's got my my title and my gender and my name. It's still showing that little box because I haven't done that yet. Another little video, which again, if you're stuck, worth having a look through. I've just scrolled past my address, it's just above the page here, but obviously make sure that's correct. You can change your address if you need to. It asks if your permanent home is in the UK, so you need to say yes or no to that. Home address if different from postal address. So for example, some of you might be living not with your family. So you might have a term time address, or yeah, you might just have live at a different location. So you might want to put a new address, which is where you'll be accessible in here. Then you need to put your email address in. You do need that. I mean, that should all already be in there, the email address, but I've just taken mine out. Your date of birth again should already be in there, but make sure it is. Country of birth, you need to click, if there's ever a little see list box, make sure you click on that, because that will give you the options So if we just do that now as an example, handily United Kingdom, where a lot of you are going to be residing, is the first one, so you click on that. But obviously if you were born somewhere else, you need to choose that from the list. And then if you were born somewhere else, you would need to put in when you first came to the UK in here. You need to put your nationality in. Again, you can see list. Dual nationality, if you've got parents from who were born in different countries or from different countries, you'd need to put in the other parent's nationality there. Or your other nationality, because you've got whichever other parent. And where you live normally. So again, it's probably the UK, but if it's not, you need to put that in. And then residential category. With the residential category, if you click on See List, it will give you some options. Again, a lot of you will be UK citizens, but for example, say if you normally live on the Channel Islands, then you'd need to click on that. So make sure you got the right one there. And then unique learner number, that should be something that your school can give to you. So you can again ask a form tutor what yours is. They should be able to access that on their in-school systems. Don't worry about that if you can't access it. It's not the end of the world. If you have come to the UK, English is a second language for you, or if you've learnt English as a second language, then you need to put that number in there. Or you might have an IELTS number as well, so that could go in there. I've just scrolled down a little bit further on this page. Now looking on passport details, that only applies to you if your permanent home is outside of the EU. So if it's not, then you don't need to fill in this section at all. If it is, then you obviously this is greyed out because I've answered that I am a UK citizen, but you need to click on these drop down boxes and make sure you've answered the correct questions here and put in your passport number and things like that. This is a really important part now, the fee code. When you drop down, for the majority of you, unless you're planning on funding your university place through your own money or your family's money, most people will want to choose number 2. So that means that you're going to be accessing student finances. You're going to get a fund from the government, basically. You might want to be picking one of these, but I think for the average 18-year-old, that's unlikely. But you will probably know if that's the case for you. But yeah, most of you will be clicking on number 2, and that's for students in UK or EU who are able to access student funds. Obviously, there might be some changes to that next year, but this is I'm running through this at the end of 2018, so I will obviously update it if needs be. And you then need to choose your home address, so where your family lives. So you're going to see the list. So depending on your county, you need to choose that. So, for example, I'm resident in Brighton, so we'll be choosing Brighton Hove, but you might be in East Sussex, or you might be in Devon, or you might be in Suffolk or Wigan, who knows, but you choose that from the list. And then you just need to answer if you've ever lived or worked in the EU, and if you have a parent or step-parent who has who is an EU or Swiss national. So you need to answer those questions. Last couple of things on this page. Nominated access. If you would like someone to be able to contact universities or UCAS on your behalf, then that's worth putting their name in here. For example, I often suggest to the young people I work with that they put in my name here and that I'm careers advisor. In case I can't get hold of them, there's something urgent with their application, I can then speak to UCAS or the uni on their behalf. But obviously, if you're not wanting to do that, you don't have to. And last but not least, disability special needs. If you are dyslexic, dyspraxic, wheelchair access, whatever extra needs you might have, I really recommend you put these down here. There's a list you can choose from, and then you can give details about what those might look like and how they might impact on a university supporting you. It's a really good idea to do this, as you might be able to get extra support. Once you have done all of that, you need to click on section completed and save. Really do make sure you save things, or else you run the risk of the information you've been spending lots of time putting in disappearing. We are now going to go on to the second page. I've now clicked on choices, and again there's a little video worth having a look through if you're unsure about how it'll work, like that. So can you see here it says add a choice? At the moment I haven't added anything, so I'm just going to give you an example of how this works. So I've clicked on add a choice. As it says, to find courses based on subject, provider and location, check entry requirements and view course specific fee information, please use the UCAS search tool. If you would like, I'm happy to give you a run through of that. Let me know in the comments. Just to talk you through, I'm assuming that you've made your 5 choices. You have up to 5 choices. Those could be all at the same university or 5 different universities. Ideally, they're in the same area of study. It's very hard to make an application for 2 very different subjects because your personal statement has to apply to all of them. You only have one personal statement. So that's a different conversation for another day, but just so you're aware. So then you have to fill in the information about each course. So I'm just going to give an example of one. So you see list, and that will tell you the institution code. So I'm going to search for Sussex, because that's one of my closest universities, and there's the University of Sussex. Make sure you choose the right place, and then you see it's just put the code in for you. And then you can see the list of all the course codes. So we'll have all of the university courses offered at Sussex University. I'm going to choose the degree that I did do, which was psychology, which is this one here, C800, and then campus code. Sussex University only has one campus, so it's the main site, but you might find that your university has a few different campuses, so you need to make sure that you're picking the right one. The start date, this is where you can decide if you want to enroll for the following September, so this would be next September 2019, or if you would like to start the year after. Now, some people know immediately at this point they definitely don't want to go next year. If you are one of them, then it's probably worth you saying, actually, I would like to start the year after. But if you're umming and ahhing and you're not really sure, then I would say go with the September 2019, and then in the next few months you can always let them know. It's much better to have a place secured and then try and move it than to not have one at all. So that's what would be my recommendation there. Further details, if you click on that, it might be that there's more information that's required, for example with combined degrees. So always have a check of the website of your actual university to see if they've said anything there. Live at home while studying. Some of you might be going to university very close to where you already live and you're okay with living where you are, in which case you want to say yes there. And point of entry. It tells the universities and colleges which year of the course you want to start. So if you're just starting a normal degree in the first year, then just leave that blank. But you might, some of you, for example, might have done some previous work, or you're doing a foundation year, which is a preparatory year, in which case it would be year 0. So again, most of you will be nothing in that box, but if you are one of the other options, make sure you've got the right number in there. And then you can save that. It's probably, it's not going to like me doing that because I've not put everything in. So I'm just going to cancel that. And it's taken me back to my choices page. And I've got the University of Sussex and it's just not got everything in there. And now I can add another choice, so I can add up to 5 of those. Once I've done all of that and they're all correct, click on section completed and save. We're now on the education section. So again, little video. First thing to do is to choose the highest level of qualification you've got so far. So most of you will be a below honours degree, so you won't have a degree yet. Obviously if you already do, you want to click on that, or I'll have no qualifications. I don't imagine many people will be under that one. And then you can start adding. First thing you need to do is to add the school or college that you want to enter your most recent qualifications for. So for the average UK student, you will have done GCSEs, and then they will have been followed by either A levels or BTEC level 3 qualifications. If you did all of those qualifications at the same location, the same school, then you only really need to add one school and then put all of the qualifications in under that particular school. But if you went to a different sixth form college, for example, then you'll need to add in the sixth form college, the qualifications you did there, and then the secondary school you went to with the qualifications you did there. So I'm gonna to give you an example. So let's click on add new school college. So you can find the school college centre name in the list. So we'll search for a school. If we do, so I'm based in Brighton, so I'm going to do a college we have locally, which is Varndene. So we've got Varndene College. This is a sixth form, or we've got Varndene School, which is 11 to 16. So I'm going to choose the sixth form, and then it already is put in the exam centre number, which is quite handy. If it hasn't, you'll probably have to find yours out from your school, and then you put when you started. So it'll be the September 2 years before, so or last year. So for example, if you're applying at this point, you will have started last September, so September, not the one that's just gone, the one before, and then you'll be finishing around June next year. And then most of you will be doing full-time courses. Again, if you're doing part-time, you need to put that in. It's got sandwich as an option, but that's usually if you're doing a degree, so that won't be relevant. And yes, hopefully you'll be getting some qualifications and you'll want to save that. So once you save that, it's asking me for dates, which I haven't put in, but hopefully it'll let me just save this anyway. No, it's not going to, so I'm just going to put in some dates here. So 17 and then 2019. Yes, okay, and full time. Right. So now I've done all that. Yeah, as you've entered a finish date, which is in the future, these details must be for the school or college you are currently attending. Yes, that's what I'm doing. So now you can see you've got Varndene College in there. So we now need to add some qualifications. Now this is where it can get a little bit complicated for people. So I'm going to talk you through it quite slowly. The easiest sort of qualification that you might have taken would be an A level. So if you just put the letter A in, it comes up straight away. And A level will generally suffice for most A levels. There are a few other options there. You'll see that it's called a GCE advanced level, but that is an A level. And then you choose your subject. So hopefully that will be in this list. Let's just pick, what should we pick? Let's pick English literature. Again, you'll have to put in your qualification date. So usually that will be August. That's when you'll get your A levels, and that will be next year. Obviously, if you've already taken it, then you need to put it in for the year that you received your results. You need to choose the awarding organisation. Now, this is a sort of information that you might not know off the top of your head. Your exams office at school will know. you need to find out who they are. Ask in school reception, form teacher, whichever adult you're used to talking to, whichever teacher you're familiar with. They will be able to point you in the right direction. I'm just going to choose Edexcel for now. And then if you haven't taken your exams yet, then you won't know what your grade is. So you're going to have to click on pending. But if you do, then you can choose one of these letters. So let's just put pending in. Now the modules, it really depends. Sometimes they have a little asterisk next to it, and in which case you do need to definitely put your modules in. If it doesn't, which it doesn't in this case, you don't have to. I would say some universities, they are interested in what modules you've taken, especially for certain subjects. For example, if you're applying to a very competitive uni and you want to do, I don't know, a subject like maths, they want to see what you've actually taken so far and how well potentially you've done in it, because you might have already got some exams complete. So English is not giving that option, but sometimes if you've got, say you've already done some exams and you've done really well in them, then that's actually worth getting that in there. So it's up to you. If it's not asterisks and you don't have to put it in, you can make that call, because it does take a bit of time. But I generally would say it's usually more worth it than not. Unless you've done badly in the exams, then maybe just leave it off. But generally you need to be as open and honest with where you're at as possible. Save and add similar. If you've done 3 A-levels, that's the route to go down. I'm just going to give you the option of a different sort of qualification. So we've now got English literature in there. I'm now going to add qualifications again, and I'm going to show you a different one that can get quite confusing. So you'll see here BTEC diploma. It's giving you some popular ones: BTEC diploma and BTEC extended diploma. So if you're just studying one subject and that's all you're doing, then you'll be doing the BTEC extended diploma. It's the equivalent of 3 A-levels. If you're studying a BTEC alongside 1 A-level, then you're probably doing the BTEC diploma, because that's the equivalent of 2 A-levels. And if you're doing 2 A-levels or a diploma plus one other BTEC, then you're probably doing a subsidiary diploma, which is the equivalent of 1 A-level. So that's not on the popular, but if you search here subsidiary diploma, there you go. It'll either be BTEC, well, it's the same thing, subsidiary diploma or BTEC subsidiary diploma. There are, as you can see, many more different variations of qualifications. They've got all sorts of things in, from rock school to vocational qualifications. I can't go through all of these right now, but if you're struggling to find yours, double check with your teacher that you've got the right qualification title. And this is, you're not putting in the subject here. It's not putting in English. It's putting in actually what the qualification you're going to end up with is. So once you've done that, I'm just going to go back to here. So, you know, add in whatever you're studying at the moment at your current college. And then I'm just going to give you an example of adding in a secondary school. So, like I said, Varndine is only a sixth form, so you will have had to have gone to school. So let's put in a local school. One that I know well is Backer, also in Brighton. Let's put in the exam centre number, which is handy. Again, we're going to have to say we started at some point. So we're going to say we started there in 2012 and we've finished in June 2017. So that's 5 years, which is the normal amount of time to spend at a secondary school. And yes, I got some qualifications. And then you need to, you can see now you've got Varndine with the qualifications you started filling in there. And then we've got Backer, and you've got the option to put add qualifications in. So here we did GCSEs. So there's a General Certificate of Secondary Education. Some of you might still have done some grades which are letters, A star to G, so you'll need to click on that. But many of you now will have done the GCSEs which were numbered, so you need to click on that one. And once that comes up, You then get to pick what subject you did. We'll go with maths. You put in the qualification date again, because this time you will have finished it because it's in the past, so you need to put in when you got your results, which will be August of probably 2017. Awarding organisation and what grade you got, which is unlikely to be pending unless you're doing a retake, but that would come under your college. And then again you've got this option for modules. Once you've filled all of that in, you're going to save. You could save and add similar, but you might just be saving, and it's not liking I'm doing that, so I'm just going to ignore it because we're not going to add that in now. The only thing I would say about the GCSEs is some of you might have done BTECs at GCSE level, so those are level 2 BTECs. You need to have a look at your your exam certificate just to check what sort of BTEC it was. It might have been a certificate, for example. I won't know, obviously, so you need to double check that. Get all of that in. Once you've done it, section complete, and you save. Next section. Employment. Not everyone will have had paid employment. That's absolutely fine if you haven't, but if you have, it's worth putting them in. So you would, like in the last section, you're going to add this time an employer. You've got to put their name in here, their address, a job description, what your title was, when you started and when you finished, whether it was full-time or part-time. Most of you will be part-time, and save it. And once you've saved it, it's not letting me do it. Once you've saved it, you can then add another, and you can add up to 5. That's a nice short and sweet section, so won't dally around that one too much. We are getting towards the end, which is good news. Right, this is the big most important one, your statement. Hopefully you are nearing the end of writing that. If you would like, I can do one of these on writing a personal statement. What I would say here is make sure it obviously needs to be within 4,000 characters. I'm guessing most of you will hopefully have written this in a Word document. When you cut and paste it into this box, which is where it's going to go, you might find that it cuts off the end of it. So really be careful that you have actually shifted or taken away any paragraph spaces so that the whole thing will fit into that space. You don't want to leave them hanging with half a sentence and to miss a paragraph off the end because you've made it look nice and spacious, but actually you've cut off some of what your important writing. So yeah, be really careful that's all in there. You have 35 minutes to put it in there, but obviously you will have written it on a different document and just pasted it into there. You can then preview it once you put something in and just make sure that it's all there. So really I advise using that preview button, and then you're going to save. Reference. Now, because I said I was doing this independently, I would need to complete all of this. So I will need to put in who they are, where they come from, the address, their contact details, and then you save that, and then an email is sent to them saying that they will add their email to this application. For most of you, I mentioned in the registration tutorial that I did, most of you will be doing it through your school or college, so actually you won't have a reference section because that will be done separately by your teachers. So I wouldn't worry too much about this, but if you are doing it on your own, then you need to be completing this because your application won't go through until the referee has sent in their reference. So it's really important to make sure that they do that. I've now clicked on View All Details. So once you are happy with everything that you've completed, and most importantly, you'll have little tick boxes, and there'll be little ticks in all these boxes down here which show that you've completed all of the sections, because you will have ticked each section at the bottom of each page, and there's that little box that says section complete. You will have saved everything. You can then click on this View All Details. I've just put up this little snipping toolbox to to hide my information, but this is what it will look like. It will have everything in all these sections in one long page. So I'll just scroll down. So you can see everything that we've filled in so far is all there. The choices, the education, employment, personal statement. Obviously not much of it is filled in yet, but you'll need to look through all that and just double check one last time, and then click on section complete and save. So if you are all ready to send it off, then there's this pay send section. I can't click on this yet because I'm not ready, nothing's complete, but once all those boxes have been ticked, this will become clickable on, and what you need to do is click on it. If you are doing it through a school or college, some colleges actually will pay for you to apply to university, which is brilliant. So when you click on pay send, you won't be able to actually fill in any details. It'll just do it through the school. If you are having to pay yourself, then that's where you're going to put in your card details. It doesn't have to be your own card details. It can be a family member, or whoever is paying for you to make the application. It's £24 for the up to the 5 choices, and 18 for one choice. So you'll need to have that money in an account, and once you've filled in that information, and you click on pay send, you'll have the option to send off the whole thing, and then that will, if you're doing it through a school or college, that will then go to your careers advisor for them to add the reference, and they will then send it off. If you're doing it independently, it's then going to go to UCAS, and the referee will be adding in their reference. So that is it. I hope that has been informative, and hopefully you had a break at some point in there, because it's a fairly lengthy process, but they need all of that information for them to make a good choice about whether or not you're the right student for a course. So let me know if you've got any questions in the comments, and good luck everybody.